Hello and welcome to the Stamp Camp's online techniques class. Today's technique is called Faux stained glass. Now to do this technique you need vellum, and we are going to use the cardstock vellum. It's a little thicker than the other vellum. You can, just by feeling it, you can tell it's thicker, so it's going to hold up better and it's not going to be as flimsy. I'm going to turn this so you can see it better. Okay, so I'm going to use the framelits, and I'm going to just cut out a frame out of the vellum. And while I got my big shot here, I'm going to also cut out another frame that I'm going to need. I am going to cut another frame out of real red. So I'm going to use the frame that we just cut out of the vellum, and then I'm going to use the next size smaller frame down from that. Put my thing on, and we're going to bring that one through. So what I did was I created this nice little red frame. The smaller red, save it for something else, maybe a tag for a Christmas present. Just save it for later. So I have my vellum frame and then my red one. The reason I have the red frame is when you're working with vellum and you're going to attach it to something, you can always see the adhesive behind the vellum, so you need to cover that somehow. So my red frame is where our adhesive is going to go, and then when I put it onto the card, you'll see that the adhesive is hidden with the frame. I also made a very vanilla frame using the same framelits, just a little bit bigger, like that. So let's get started with our faux stained glass. We're going to use our cardstock vellum, and because it's vellum, it is a little staticky, so we're going to use our embossing buddy. Rub that over the whole thing, and we're going to use this stamp right here. I'll put on my blog the name of the stamp set, but we're going to ink it with our Versamark ink. And we're going to stamp that kind of in the center of our vellum. And then we're going to come in with our Early Espresso embossing powder. And I like the Early Espresso over black just because it's a little bit more subtle and it's not quite as dark as the black. Just flick off the excess, and then we're going to heat this with our heat gun. Now remember, when you're embossing on vellum, it can curl up, it can start to get yellow, and it could burst into flames. So once you see that it is starting to melt, you want to move on. Don't stay in one spot very long. You just want to melt that embossing powder. You don't want your vellum to start turning yellow and possibly brown and then a nice flame. So I'm going to get that nice embossed. You can see that? It's all embossed, it's real shiny. Now what you're going to do is you're going to flip that over, and you're going to take the markers. I have real red, and you are going to color in on the back side everything that you embossed. Now you're going to be kind of sloppy when you're coloring, except for when you get to the outside edges, because you don't have any guide to keep you in the line. So you're going to want to be careful when you get to the edges, because you will see your red on the other side. It's just going to take me a second. I'm going to try to go fast, so it is going to be a little sloppy, but it's just for my technique book. And it's going to look like a mess on the back, but it's going to be very pretty on the front. So you just want to color that all in. And you really, other than staying inside the lines on the outside edges, the insides don't matter. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with the gumball green and you can see I'm just slobbing the color on. I told Dean to go in closer. I've had people request a little closer viewing, so we're going to try to come in a little closer today for you. Just color all, and then you can flip it over and see if you need to color in any area. You'll see white. Are you zooming in on that, Dean, so they can see the faux stained glass? So that looks pretty good for my technique page. Now remember, when you're coloring with markers, it does say wet long, longer than it does on cardstock, so be careful not to touch this. Otherwise you're going to smear your inks around where you don't want it. This is where our little framelit comes in. Now I'm going to attach this to my card, so if I want to hide where I put my adhesive, like I said, you got to make some kind of a frame. It's going to go over the top. So I'm going to take my frame and I'm going to take the two-way glue pen and I'm going to apply glue all over my frame. Because we embossed the vellum, it doesn't lay flat anymore. It's curled because of the heat. So you're going to want to use glue to tack down your frame instead of an adhesive or glue dots, because it will pucker and stick up otherwise. So you want to cover your whole frame with the two-way glue pen. And then we're going to go ahead, place this over the top and press down. Now I can press down on it because the ink is on the back side. But you can see it doesn't want to lay flat. That's why you want to use the glue. And you can see on my paper here I got some of the ink. Then what you're going to do is you're going to apply glue on the back, right where that frame was also. If you get glue anywhere but the frame, it's going to show through to the front. Get good coverage. And that is going to go on my Berry Vanilla here. Berry Vanilla or Whisper White makes a nice background behind the vellum. Otherwise it gets too dark and you wouldn't see the color as well. So you want to make sure that you have a nice bright color behind the vellum. Can you see how that just popped that image and the color up by placing it on there? Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how I assembled this on my card. I took the crumb cake and a sponge, and I just went around and sponged my edges on the Berry Vanilla. Kind of give it a little bit of an antique look. I took a piece of real red and ran it through the Big Shot in the Petals of Plenty embossing folder. Gave it that nice poinsettia flower look. I'm going to go ahead and stick this You want a lot of glue because it is a little curled up because of the heating of the vellum. Go ahead and press that down really good. You could also glue that if you wanted to. And then the base of my card is the crumb cake. And now it's ready for my technique page. So there on my technique page, I have the faux stained glass. Now here's my finished card. What I did was I ran some ribbon through here, and I tied a double bow using the double D bow maker, and I added some pearls to the center of the poinsettias just to set that off a little bit. But there you have the faux stained glass. Thanks for stopping by.